In this week's portion, Bo, we continue the story of the events leading up to the exodus of the Israelites from Egypt. We read about 7 of the 10 plagues in last week's portion, and this week we read about the final 3 plagues. A hallmark and key feature of the story is God's involvement in all the details of the story. In other words, the perspective of the Torah, the perspective of the author of the 5 books of Moses, is that the exodus from Egypt happened because God determined it to happen. And so we read about these miracles, these plagues, and all the events that occurred as God made them happen, bringing the plagues, leading the Israelites out of Egypt, having them on the edge of the sea, about ready to cross through miraculously the walls of the sea that open up for them, to provide an exit route from Egypt. So external events happened according to the author of the Torah because God determined it to happen, but even internal events occurred because God determined it. And by that I mean the hardening of Pharaoh's heart. In other words, instead of reading the story and understanding the story as any other historical event, as political leaders and military strategists determining the course of events, our story understands it all as happening by God, even what goes on in Pharaoh's mind and in his heart. For the rabbis and for the author of the Torah, it is important and key to understand that Pharaoh's decisive and stubborn refusal to let the Israelites out is just as key an element of God determining that as God bringing the plagues. If we expand this idea to understand how we make decisions and how we act in our own lives, we certainly can see that sometimes we make decisions and we have opinions that sometimes seem like it's out of our control. We can't help but acting in a particular way because we're used to the routine. It's part of the way we've always acted, and no matter how hard we try to change our behavior, we can't, seemingly as if it is out of our control. According to the rabbis, repentance can happen at the beginning of the process when we make the first mistake. But when we continue on a trail of mistakes that follow one after the other, then we have reached a point of no return. The key is to understand at the beginning that change is necessary so that then we can be better people. That is one lesson that we learn from this story this week of the Exodus from Egypt. Shabbat Shalom.